Hey everybody, Gossett here. It has been way too long. A lot of stuff's happened. Actually, not really much at all. I mean, I got some shows coming up. I got Dragon Con coming up in a month. I got Bonnie off screen making noise. You can't see it, but it's totally happening. I got facial hair. I don't know why either. It looks terrible. But, meh. Anyway, I was gonna do like an update tonight of just like singing a karaoke version of a song or doing a cover because I'm really unoriginal and that's a quick, easy way of getting a video up. But things changed. Today, my mom was told me, me and your sister are gonna go see The Lone Ranger. You want to go see it? And I was like, yes. I'd seen all the ads for it and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll go check it out. And I heard some bad reviews. But I didn't really read too much about it, so I thought they were just being, negative for the sake of being negative. So I came back from that, and, yeah, I'm not a fan of it at all, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about why. I'm not gonna, lie to your face and say that, I really care about the Lone Ranger a lot. I'm way too young to have, listened to either radio serials or, watch the old TV show or anything like that. Heck, I barely am cognizant of it. I picked up some, the Dynamite reimagining, but that's not anything close to how it was originally. But the movie itself seems to not want to admit that it came from a somewhat cheesy source, and just feels, to me, really, cynical and, in-jokey, which turns me off immediately. If I don't detect sincerity in a movie, I don't like it. And I get that feeling all the time when I was watching The Lone Ranger. That they did not really want to make, a movie that was going to be close to that spirit of it. And basically I just get the feeling that they made a movie, where just Johnny Depp gets to go do weird stuff, which I guess is fine. I'm getting tired of it. I don't really want to see any more of that. But, the movie is about Tonto. Johnny Depp as Tonto, he is the main character, he's the first billed one, so Armie Hammer, who does a decent job in it, is the second fiddle in the movie with his name on it. That's weird. And, the whole, kind of running joke, running gag about, this, and the Green Hornet as well, which is weird because they're actually thematically linked, is that, Tonto, he was always, he was actually the brains of the operation. He did all the cool stuff. Lone Ranger was just the white guy, so he just took credit for everything. So, the filmmaker's way of fixing that is just straight up making that what happens, and making, the Lone Ranger inept, and, kind of a doofus. Why don't you just make him as cool as Tonto? Don't take anything away from Tonto, but make the Lone Ranger cool. Make him do stuff. Make him confident and brash and heroic. Instead, they make him a guy who's just, incredibly lucky and kind of blunders his way through stuff. That's not cool. And, okay. His whole arc is that he's a lawyer who believes in justice and all that stuff, so he's always, pacifist, doesn't like guns, is always wanting to detain a criminal and then take him, for, prosecution and justice. And at the end, he completely abandons that and just, all the bad guys die or are killed. Indirectly by him, but he still causes it. And he's totally okay with that. That's weird. It's another problem I have with, Man of Steel, which I could go on and on about Man of Steel and the problems I have with that. So many problems with that movie. That's another video for another day, but Superman shouldn't kill people. Straight up. And if he does, don't make it something that is that quick. Don't make the, worry about it so quick, and then it cuts to, a joke scene. Don't do that. It's a big deal if Superman does something like that. And the filmmakers should have known that. Straight up, should have known it. Anyway, back to Lone Ranger. It seems... The whole movie seemed embarrassed that it was making this movie. Even the last scene, which the last scene is actually pretty awesome. It's like a big action set piece, you know, on and around two trains, you know, that are like there's horse riding on top of it. There's big shootouts between them. Things are disconnecting and reconnecting. It's a cool scene. But it didn't feel like they were fully into it to me. Like it was set to like the William Tell Overture. It was set to the classic Lone Ranger theme, you know, but it was treating the whole scene. It was like, oh hey, yeah, you remember this, you know, dumb music that used to play like that? Well, here's some fun light stuff, you know, enjoy it. I didn't feel like it was like they were being like adventurous and heroic and all that stuff. I felt that it was more just like, oh, here's some comedy set pieces that are taking place during this action sequence. And like it didn't feel like it was in like a heroic spirit. That's a bummer. Also, the last thing, like at the end of it, you know, they don't say it throughout the entire movie, and you know, then all of a sudden Lone Ranger just goes, you know, "Hi-yo Silver, away!" Which you're like, oh hey, that's a cool throwback, and then immediately goes to Johnny Depp as Tonto saying, "You'll never say that again," and I'm like it's a joke. Never say that again? Screw you, movie! Like, if you're not willing to embrace and accept what you're working with, why are you bothering? You know, why do that? Once again, same thing with Superman. Like, and even the Batman movies. Like, you can't treat a main character's defining trait as a weakness. Like, most of this plot is exacerbated by the fact that the Lone Ranger refuses to kill people. He refuses, whereas Tonto is totally cool with that. And the whole thing is like, you know, if he had just let it happen, like, the plot would have been resolved so much quicker. They make it a hindrance. Same thing with the Dark Knight movies. You know, Dark Knight Rises, it's like he's only bailed out, he's only saved because Catwoman, who does not agree with the whole, you know, no killing thing, comes in and blows Bane away with like a rocket launcher, you know, on the Batpod. So they make Batman's whole deal a liability. They make it a weakness. They do the same thing with Batman Earth 1, which that's like, you can't have where your main character gets bailed out by someone else wielding like a weapon. That's dumb. Yeah. And just, I don't know. And Superman being depressing, that movie's a bummer. Let's be honest. Man of Steel it's a bummer of a movie. There are like two moments that I'm totally cool with. Like when he first, you know, puts on the suit and he's learned how to fly and he just like has the biggest smile on his face. That's awesome. And most of the rest of it's just it's a bag of garbage. And I don't like how dour it is. Like, I'm not saying aim it towards kids, but I wouldn't really suggest a kid watch that. Like, that's not inspiring. That doesn't make, you know, hopes and dreams and all that stuff. I want movies that do that. I want sincerity. I want filmmakers to fully be behind what they're doing. And just, I don't believe them anymore. Like, I don't believe movies. Yeah, the last movie that kind of made me feel like that, which was, you know, an adaptation, you know, of a property and all that stuff, that I felt the directors, like, were fully behind what they were doing, was Speed Racer. If you don't like Speed Racer, something is wrong with you, because that movie is awesome. Like, I don't for a second doubt that they sincerely loved everything they were doing, and they fully believed in, like, the message it was giving to kids. You know, and adults. I watched that, like, I watched it at the age of 21, you know? I watched it when it came out in theaters. I don't remember how old I am. I'm sorry. I'm kind of an idiot. Which, if you're disagreeing with me, you're like, well, obviously, whatever. Whatever. I saw that in theaters, like, late at night after I had gotten out of work. It was me and then, like, a theater with, like, you know, a set of parents and then 8 kids. And I was the most into it out of all of them. Like, I was psyched. I was down for that movie. And it uplifted me. It made me, like, inspired and happy and all that stuff. It was crazy. I loved it. But Anyway, I'm going off on weird tangents, and I'm sure none of this is making sense. But, you know, I needed an update for YouTube, and I figured me, not really ranting, but just sort of talking about why I did not like the Lone Ranger would be a good enough thing to do. So, hopefully you guys are entertained. If not, this is like an 11-minute long video, and I apologize. But I'll see if I can't get something else that's more worthwhile up in a little bit. Y'all take it easy, and cheers. By the way, product placement, Mountain Dew. Cheers. What was he drinking before? We didn't know. We didn't know until the label was there. Was he drinking a Mount Fizz? Was he drinking a green drink plateau? Or what? I don't know. Crystal Thunder? That's not even close. I'm just looking at a computer and I'm not even watching you guys. Y'all have a nice night. Peace out. A-Town down. God, I gotta find a new thing to do. That's so stupid.